Good day, everyone. Today we will talk about the structures of globalization. Okay, globalization is a term we often hear, but what does it truly mean? And at its core, globalization is the way trade, technology, culture, and ideas connect the world into a single community. But it is more than just connections because it is about how these connections shape our daily lives, influence our opportunities, and even define our identities. And as we try to understand this subject, the contemporary world, we cannot ignore globalization. Okay, the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the music we enjoy, the social media we scroll through, and the economic policies that affect our families, all these are results of globalization. That is why we must not only understand its structures but also critically analyze them, because globalization is not neutral. It brings both opportunities and risks. So before delving with our discussion today, particularly with our subject, globalization is the weaving together of people, no? As you can see now in our presentation, money, goods, ideas, and even problems. In the past, ancient traders traveled slowly along the Silk Road. They, with airplanes, satellites, and the internet, globalization moves at the speed of light. But we must ask, is globalization good for everyone? Because the truth is that while it offers growth, it also spreads inequality, climate change, cultural loss, and economic crisis. And by understanding its structures, we can see not only the benefits but also the dangers, and this empowers us to make informed choices in our global future. So let's try to understand globalization, or the idea of contemporary world, in the context of globalization, particularly first with geography. Okay, geography studies places and the relationships between people and their environments. Why is this relevant? Because where we live determines access to resources, opportunities, and risks. For instance, Middle Eastern countries are rich in oil, giving them power in global politics. Meanwhile, island nations like the Philippines are vulnerable to climate change and typhoons, making them dependent on global aid and even cooperation. So understanding geography helps us see why globalization impacts regions differently. Okay, that's the context of geography. Now let's proceed with economics. Do you know what economics explains how societies allocate resources? In the context of globalization, economics is central. It decides how wealth is distributed, which countries prosper, and which are left behind. For example, developed nations benefit from advanced industries, of course, while developing ones often remain trapped in agriculture or cheap labor. For us as an individual, this means job opportunities, the price of goods, and even our family's income are shaped by global economic systems. So we must understand economics to realize why some societies thrive while others struggle. Okay, so the geography and economics can be related, okay, in the context of politics. Politics studies governance and power. In a globalized world, political decisions cross borders. Treaties, wars, international laws, and even global institutions such as the United Nations or the World Trade Organization shape our lives. During na nangyari yung COVID-19 pandemic showed us how political cooperation or failure can determine survival. Do you know what? Politics in globalization matters because it decides who holds power, whose voices are heard, and who gets left behind. So that's the context of political science in the idea of globalization. Now let's proceed with sociology. Sociology studies human societies, inequality, and change. Globalization reshapes social identities. Okay, can you listen carefully, because this discussion is very important and it creates new social problems. For example, migration due to globalization creates multicultural societies, but it also sparks racism and xenophobia. Social media, it is a product of globalization and it connects us instantly, but it also spreads misinformation too. So let's be careful. Kasi nga, understanding globalization through the context of sociology is relevant because it allows us to address problems of inequality, crime, and cultural conflict that we see in our communities today. Now, let's proceed sa context ng anthropology. Anthropology studies humanity, culture, and tradition. Globalization now spreads dominant cultures. In the context of anthropology, it often at the expense of local tradition. Fast food chains, Hollywood films, and K-pop reach every corner of the globe. But while this creates shared global experiences, it also risks, erasing indigenous cultures and languages. For us, as a Filipino, or as citizen, or as an individual, anthropology reminds us of the importance of preserving our cultural identity in the face of globalization's powerful influence. Okay? And that's it. Now let's proceed sa history. History teaches us that globalization did not appear overnight. It was built through colonization, industrial revolutions, and world wars. For example, colonial trade routes shaped days' economic inequalities, while the Cold War that happened even before in history created alliances that still define world politics up until right now. So understanding history is relevant because it shows us that globalization is not inevitable. It is the product of choices and power struggles. By learning from the context of history, we avoid repeating mistakes such as exploitation and conflict. Okay? Another thing is the psychology. Why psychology rather is relevant or connected or important by understanding globalization. Psychology examines how globalization affects our minds and even our behaviors. For instance, migration causes stress and identity struggles. Do you believe it? Yes or no? Okay, while you are watching this video, try to understand everything. Try to understand and analyze the concept according to its context. While social media fuels both connectivity and mental health issues, psychology shows us that globalization is not only about systems and structures. It is also about people, about us as an individual. How we think, adapt, and interact in a globalized world determines whether globalization makes us stronger or more divided. Okay? Now, let's proceed with the context of economic structures of globalization. The idea there is the neoliberalism. It promotes free markets, deregulation, and privatization. Its promise is efficiency and growth. But we need to ask this question, growth for whom? Because in reality, neoliberalism often benefits the wealthy while leaving the poor behind. Okay? It widens inequality, prioritizes corporations, and neglects sustainability. So this matters to us because neoliberal policies affect our tuition fees, healthcare, job security, and even the price of our food. So try to consider the idea of neoliberalism not just in the past but also in the present that we are experiencing today, because as a matter of fact it affects us as an individual in all aspects. Okay, so now let's proceed sa global Keynesianism. Global Keynesianism emphasizes government intervention to stabilize economies. After World War II, this approach lifted millions out of poverty and created jobs. You know why? Because its relevance today is clear. When economics collapse, okay, what will happen? Governments must step in to protect people. Okay, that's the Constitution states. For example, during the 2008 financial crisis, countries that adopted Keynesian measures like stimulus spending, considering it as a instrument to recover faster or for recovery, for us, it shows that globalization must be managed, not left unchecked. So there are economic challenges, particularly inflation. Inflation means when prices rise faster than incomes, our purchasing power shrinks. Because this is not an abstract concept, we feel it when groceries, when we go to gasoline station, or tuition fees increase. So that's the context of inflation. tumaas yung presyo niya. Okay? Yung stagnation naman, when economies do not grow, unemployment rises. Because pag yung ekonomiya ng isang bansa or isang lugar ay hindi siya gumagalaw, walang pagbabago, tumataas yung rate ng unemployment kasi nga walang mga opportunities, walang trabaho. We see this when fresh graduates cannot find jobs. Okay? That's the reality right now. Next is the stagflation. A deadly combination of high prices and low growth. Ito yung nakakatakot because pag nangyari to sa ating country, medyo mahirapan yung gobyerno natin. Actually, hindi lang gobyerno, lahat tayo mahirapan to thrive, to survive. Considering na mataas ang presyo, tapos napakababa ng economic setting. So, the 1970s oil crisis showed us that global events like wars or embargoes can trigger stagflation. Worldwide, hindi lang yan pang isang region or pang isang continent. Worldwide po yan. It can really affect and downgrade the economical stability of a certain country. You know what? These challenges remind us that globalization is fragile and directly impacts our families. Okay? So, do you understand? If you have some question, you can comment your question in our comment section below. Okay? The global inequalities, let's proceed to this one. Globalization divides the world between, first one, developed countries, which considered as strong economies, advanced industries, stable governments, and high living standards, because these developed countries are viewed as a developed one, advanced one. So ito yung mga countries like United States of America, they are so advanced compared with these countries, particularly with economics, opportunities, technology, and so much more. So the developing countries now are considered as under with the idea of lower income, weak yung infrastructure, and having unstable politics, considering its identity culture. For us as an individual, this means that where we are born determines our chances in life. So a child in Germany may have free education and healthcare, while a child in Africa may struggle for clean water. So this kind of inequality is not natural. It is created and sustained by globalization. Okay? Do you follow? To some extent, understanding this motivates us to demand fairness and justice in global system. So if I were you now watching this video, try to analyze and contemplate by understanding this concept, not just a economic setting, but also as a personal view in understanding globalization. Because whether we like it or not, globalization is trying to develop everything, including our mindset, our understanding as people, including our culture. So for the next one, global institutions and policies. These global organizations like WTO, World Trade Organization, push for trade liberalization, but not always fairly, because developed countries still protect their industries while pressuring developing nations to open their markets. For us, this explains why farmers now struggle with important products and why small businesses often cannot compete with global corporations. Understanding policies like this one, comparative advantage, is essential because they decide what our countries produce, what jobs we have, and even what food ends up on our tables. So, with regard to this one, the transnational corporation, or called as TNCs, are the giants of globalization. They create jobs, but often in poor working conditions with low wages. They bring technology, but also cause environmental destruction. For us, TNCs explain why the